All right, let's go ahead and get to the SEC championship, LSU versus Georgia. I got the point here. I picked Georgia. Georgia won 50-30. So just in summary, real quick, scoring in this one got started off in a really strange way.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia
Still don't
blocked
fully understand.
Georgia blocked the field goal attempt by LSU, and the ball bounced to the 4-yard line where it nearly stopped. Now, by rule here, it's like a punt where if it stops rolling, if it stops moving, it's dead at that point, which I didn't know at the time. I'm just watching the game going, what the heck's going on? But apparently that is the rule. And so I think if it had been like another like half a rotation, it would have been dead. Because if you watch the ball, it's about stopped when he picks it up. Not quite, but it's almost there. And so Chris Smith Jr. Picked it up and ran it all the way in for a touchdown as LSU's special teams was walking off the field thinking that it was done. That was 96 yards for the touchdown. Then, not long after that, LSU scored on a big pass play to tie it up 7-7, which was kind of odd. It's like Georgia's defense has been on the field for a long time. They got the special teams play, and then the defense is right back on the field. So I don't know if that played into that or not. But so it was 7-7 in the first, and then Georgia went on a 28-0 run, which included a portion of the game where the Dogs got an interception, which bounced off of an LSU player's helmet. That was pretty bizarre. Jalen Carter also had an impressive sack where he stopped Jaden Daniels, simply picked him up to end the play. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It was kind of like he picked him up, and then, you usually see linemen, tackle him or throw him down at that point, but that would have probably got a penalty. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to hold him here. So
He went like the Notebook on him. He's like, I will just lift you and hold you.
yeah, exactly. And then it was 35-10 at halftime after Jaden Daniels re-injured his ankle near the end of the second quarter. Garrett Nussmeier took over in the second half and did really well. It wasn't enough though to catch up to the Dogs, who scored two more touchdowns in the second half. Georgia had the backups in by the time LSU scored their final touchdown, but the defense, the main defense, still gave up 30 points. Georgia rushed for 255 yards while only giving up 47 on the ground to LSU. However, LSU did manage to throw for 502 total yards between the two quarterbacks. So I want to get you guys takeaways from the SEC championship.
I think, everybody I've talked to thus far agrees. I think it was incredibly irresponsible and neglectful of Coach Kelly to play Jaden Daniels. I do not agree with that choice. You have a player who is a leader on your team who is hurt. And I know you tape up an ankle, but if you got to put a pound of tape on it, you probably shouldn't play. And I know you want to do your best to win a game, but you've got to back up who at one point also started. I think we talk about it all the time. These are kids. And I understand some of these guys are like 22. Hell, Stetson Bennett's 25, but whatever. But at the end of the day, these are people that are under your care. They're looking to you for leadership, and they're looking to you to advocate for them. So to me, I think it's irresponsible on Coach Kelly. It's irresponsible on the medical staff, the training staff. You should have absolutely advocated for this kid, because I've never met a kid in middle school up that when you say, are you hurt or can you still go out there, that's going to say, I'm hurt, I have to sit. No,
Right.
they're always going to say that they can still go out there.
You've obviously never coached middle school football.
I've only used to like my brother and his friends.
Listen, I had a kid, not to throw, shade at a former athlete that played for it. Well, a former student that played for us. I had a kid that we were just cycling people through, and I called him over to me and said, "Hey man, have you been in yet?" He's like, "No, coach." I'm like, "You want to get in?" He's like, "I'm good." Okay, but when your mom comes up here to complain I didn't play you, I don't want to hear anything.
He was just there for the Gatorade.
I don't know why he was there, but
his
anyway,
mom or dad made him play. Probably. For sure. But a kid that's usually a starter is not going to want to sit out. They're just not. They're going to want to put the team on their back. And I don't know. I thought you're risking getting someone really, really injured, career injury or an injury that takes them into sitting on the bench next season. And I didn't like that. Also, when it comes to Coach Kelly, he doesn't have the best reputation for care.
Yeah.
So not a good look.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes deep.
That goes to death.
Yeah. It does. Any other thoughts?
My other ones are like UGA made those crazy plays that LSU needed to make. You're an underdog, like a 3-possession underdog. You need every bit of help you can get, and they didn't get it. UGA got it. They got the weird ones. They got like the Auburn level weird ones. And LSU turned it over. You know, they had different issues on their own that they could have helped. And I don't know. I think that was just, it was rough to see. UGA didn't need that kind of juju, and LSU sure did, and they didn't get it. But at the end of the day, if you're an LSU fan, this is a huge year of progress for your program. So I think you still have to be proud and excited for the future.
For sure. Matt?
Listen, I told y'all this is what was going to happen. I knew this SEC championship was going to be a snoozer. I knew that this was going to probably be a nuke, and I was right, because let's remember, this is an LSU team that, you know, lost 4 games in the season. This is an LSU team that got boat raced by Tennessee at home, and you're gonna sit there and tell me this is going to be a competitive game. No, not going to happen. And the LSU fans can get all ticky like they did a couple weeks ago, but I'm telling you right now, you're not on the level. You're not that guy, pal. To quote the internet. So like I said, UGA's offense is just too effective, and their defense is way too physical. There's no way LSU is going to be able to hang here. Let's also keep in mind that UGA's offensive and defensive lines dominated the line of scrimmage. UGA with 255 yards on the ground. LSU, Wes, if you take into account, if you take out the one long run by Josh Williams, which was of 47 yards, LSU only really rushed for 19. Now, is that because they abandoned the run when they saw they weren't going to be able to run against Georgia's front four? Probably. Did they have some more success in the air? That's probably it. 502 yards in the air is definitely a stat. And you know that CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. and everybody else for Ohio State is going to be looking and watching that tape and trying to figure out how to take advantage of those situations. LSU's not known, I don't remember over the course of the season really talking about them lighting it up in the air. I don't remember a game where they were able to pull that off. So it's interesting that this happened in the SEC championship game. I'm not sure what happened there. The other point is that LSU got held 2.4 yards per rush attempt in this game. That is dominance in every way, shape, and form and fashion. UGA in this game, I felt like they showed that they were serious. You know, we had seen earlier in the season, UGA could be up, they could be down, they could play slow. The UGA did not play slow in this game. They came out all guns a-blazing, and they showed that they're going to be dangerous in the playoff. Will they get past OSU? We'll see. But I think it's going to be a situation where if they are clicking on all cylinders, they're going to probably repeat this year, much to my chagrin.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a gripe, the 502 yards in the air. And to your point, Matt, you're talking about Ohio State's going to be looking at that. They absolutely will. I don't really understand. It was kind of hard to quantify why that happened. We did blitz some. It feels like we didn't blitz as much as we used to, or as much as we have before, particularly when we went against Hendon Hooker. Obviously, we knew what needed to be done there, because if he was given time, he was going to just pick us apart in much the same way. But he didn't have that time. So I don't really know why they were particularly successful in the air in this one. Other than, the secondary has been a point of contention for the Dogs this year, which is, again, is why pressure is key. So hopefully some lessons learned there. Ultimately thrilled to still win convincingly, even though we had those struggles, and excited to have an opportunity in the playoff. A couple of notes from the game. Ladd McConkey aggravated the tendonitis in his knee again. And had to leave the game, but remains to be seen kind of how that'll affect his availability for the playoff game. We'll see how that goes. That's also almost a month away, so hopefully they can get that under control. Also, offensive lineman Warren McClendon has a light MCL sprain, and also last I checked, unclear how long he'll be out as well. So hopefully nothing too crazy there that'll keep those guys out. So anyway, so yeah, that does it for the SEC championship. As you guys have mentioned, I also too say congrats to LSU for a great ahead of schedule season. As we've talked about on the show before, it is something that they should be pleased about. I would hope so. I mean, these were not expectations entering the season. So kudos to them and Brian Kelly in his first year.